The long-awaited day has finally come. I have a project I've been putting off for probably around 9 months now, and you guys, if you followed my videos, have probably seen a lot of the cameras that I have gone through that haven't worked because of battery corrosion. I put them all in a giant pile, and that pile is right here. And as you can see, there are quite a few cameras stacked up here. And what we're going to do today is go through a number of them, and hopefully we can get them into working condition. Let's go through a few and just kind of show you what I'm looking at here. So corrosion there. Some of them are worse than others, but they all have some amount of corrosion inside. And we're going to do our best to get them into operable condition and hopefully into sellable condition. And after I get through this, get them listed on eBay. So I'm gonna hop over to my desk and we're gonna bring the cart into my office and go through and hopefully get them into working condition. All right, so got the cameras down here ready to go. And before we start, I'm gonna show you some of the cleaning supplies that I'm gonna use. This breaks up any oxidization that may be occurring within the camera connection. So this is pretty handy. Also I have trusty old vinegar. Vinegar also does a good job of cleaning up any corrosion that may exist. I've got some regular lens cleaning solution in case any of the lenses are dirty. I've got a trusty old cleaning cloth here, and I've got a wire brush. I know not the greatest for metal connections, but sometimes if it's super corroded, this is the only way to actually get some of it off. And I've got a regular nylon brush. So that's all of the things that we're going to be looking at using. I don't know what our success rate is going to be here, but we will give it the old college try. So I'm going to start off with a Canon Powershot A1100, which is this guy right here. And I put all of these away mostly, I'd say 90% for battery corrosion issues. So you can see this one's actually not, well, actually it is pretty bad. So we've got some corrosion right here. We've got corrosion on the post right here, and then there's corrosion as well pretty deep inside. Almost forgot a really very important thing, Q-tips. So if there's corrosion in the back part, Q-tips can be handy to get in there and clean a little bit of it off. So we'll probably start with a Q-tip here. Just sprayed some vinegar on the end there, and I'm just gonna clean a little bit of this off here. So another thing that happens with these is the posts inside that the AA batteries connect to can actually get bent and warped over time. So if you're not finding that the camera is powering on even though you've cleaned the corrosion out of the AA tray, you may need to try to pry it a little bit to get that connection into fully setting. Okay. I don't know about this one. It's fairly corroded. I'm trying to work a little bit of that stuff off. So you can see kind of what we got out of there. A little bit of corrosion. Got a little clean with the brush here. So rather than spend a ton of time on this, I tried to put the AA batteries in pretty quickly after originally cleaning it, because if it's still not powering on, there could be additional issues that may not be overcome, and you just end up wasting a lot of time on a camera that won't even work. AA's fit fine now after that. Battery door locks good. Another common problem you'll see is the battery tray is loose, because once there's corrosion inside of there, it tends to actually move the tray out like this, kind of like that. And that is difficult to overcome. If you still want a working camera after that, sometimes you may end up needing to tape it or otherwise try to fix it. But in this case, it's holding fine. Ooh, power's on. So this was a camera that didn't even power on before. And now we have a camera that appears to be working. We're going to do a quick double check here. Get some lens cleaning solution. All right, that lens looks good. Let's try taking a picture real quick. Yep, nice. Okay, so now obviously, if you were to list this, you would want to disclose that there is a little bit of corrosion in there, but it doesn't affect the performance. But this camera, instead of being a throwaway or toss-away camera, now Canon Powershot A1100 is going to value about $40, $45 in used condition. So that's a win. And if you haven't seen me before, this is my full-time job, is buying and selling used cameras, some other electronics as well, but mainly cameras and lenses. And rather than do this one-off, I tend to batch things together. It makes it a little bit more efficient for me. In this case, I waited a little bit too long, as you saw before. But that's great. That's a good start. So 1 for 1 so far. We'll put this in the working condition into list. Let's continue with the Canon Powershot. We've got an older model here. This is a Canon Powershot A400, kind of a rectangular brick camera in the Digicam area. Pretty low megapixel, like 3.2. Yeah, 3.2. Let's see what the battery tray looks like. Oh, oh boy. Quite a bit of corrosion inside of there. So, and there's a battery that's stuck. That often happens as well. So let's get the battery out first. If we can get the battery out, it's really stuck in there. Battery's really, really stuck in there. I don't know if we're going to be able to get this one. So sometimes these batteries, when they kind of explode like that, is they swell and then they get stuck and they're really hard to get out of the battery compartment. And this one was very stuck. Yeah. Yep, so that one's going to be a write-off, unfortunately. Lots of corrosion deep inside, so that one was probably a long shot anyway. So that one we will put in the not working pile. Let's continue with the Canon Powershots. Most of these are a mix of Canon and Nikon and Sony. Alright, next camera is going to be the Canon Powershot A620. Let's take a look at this guy. Oh yeah, lots of corrosion in there. So we've got corrosion on the rear tray, corrosion internally a little bit. So let's get started on this. Just kind of loosening up some of the corrosion there. Get my Q-tip out. Okay, I'm gonna try a little bit of this deoxide stuff. See how it works. Seems to be doing okay. Oh, there's corrosion on 2. Let's see if we can. All right. Dry off this little area a little bit. This is just a forced air blower. It loosens up a little bit of that. Now I'm just gonna use a little bit of the vinegar. And I'm just using household vinegar here. White vinegar, kind of standard to be used. Unless you really like fish and chips, maybe don't use malt vinegar, but it may be just as good. I've never tried it. It's looking pretty good. Feel reasonably confident in this one. Let's break open some AA batteries and give it a shot. It's not a very fast process. as you can clearly tell. Okay, close the battery tray. And let's give this a shot. Ooh, power's on. Nice. Cool. Lens is noisy. This is very common for older Canon Powershots, and in fact, out of the box, a lot of these were noisy. Lens appears to be functioning well. Took a picture. Glass looks good. Cool. So these have actually increased in value quite a bit over the last few years since the pandemic. Value on this camera is going to be probably somewhere in the $60 to $100 range. Need to double check, but that is working. So we are 2 for 3 so far. Yeah, so most of what's left is going to be bridge cameras, which are going to be a little bit bulkier, generally use 4 AA batteries for power, and they seem to be the most susceptible for having corrosion issues. Oh, there you go. So that's what we got going on here on this Nikon. And this is a Nikon Coolpix L840, which is a 38x optical zoom camera. But there's one that has a bit of corrosion, just a tiny bit in there. And I'm able to spray in very, very small amounts with this unit here, which is quite handy. I'll leave a link down in the description if you're interested in any of these gadgets and items that I'm using to clean the AA trays. Probably could be used for other types of electronics as well, or anything with AA battery corrosion. Now we're going to pull out the vinegar. And we're just going to clear a little bit of this stuff off. Use the brush. And spray a little bit of this stuff on there. Not so much a spray as it just comes out very slowly. If this came out in any larger quantity, I would definitely put it on the rag first. But the goal here is, as again I said, if it's super corroded, you just want to get it to a medium point, and then try it and see if it works, and if it doesn't, try it again. Try and try again. And then you can go back to cleaning it up a little bit more and making it look better. But as you can see, I got most of the corrosion out of there. That's it. Okay, pose is fine. And the lens itself looks okay. Power on. Sometimes with these you have to press the on-off button a few times, especially on the Nikons for whatever reason, to actually get them to turn on. That one is not. Make sure the AA batteries are in the right way. Let's go back to trying to figure out what we can do here. That's the problem one, I think. Yeah. What I'm doing now is just working off a little bit of the corrosion with a screwdriver here. Okay, let's give that a shot. If this doesn't work, then I'm going to put it in the loss column, because everything otherwise looks fine. There's not a whole lot more I can do here. No power. No power on this guy, unfortunately. It's a shame. Otherwise, it looks to be in pretty decent shape. Dang. Alright, so now we're 2 for 4. It's going to go in the working pile. Alright, now we got a Sony coming up here. Sony DSC H300, very popular bridge camera, 35x optical zoom. Don't really see a ton of corrosion problems with these normally. Oh, that's bad. So that is quite bad. Where you really have a hard time getting these cameras into working condition is if the corrosion is very deep inside the internal posts. Those are really hard to get to. And access point wise, I mean, there's screws on the side of the camera. You could take apart the camera fully and probably get it into working condition. But I just don't have the time to be able to do that really. And honestly, my success rate hasn't been too good doing that. So I try to focus on more of the cosmetic side and easier fixes. If I can hopefully get it into working condition without a huge amount of work. But this is very corroded. And when you have corrosion, the contact point becomes a pretty big issue because the batteries are just resting on those. And if that's corroded out, then there's no contact point, and there's no way for the camera to actually power on and get a charge. Pretty gentle here. Okay, let's go ahead and give that a shot and see if it powers on. Tray closes fine. Ooh, it does power on. See if the lens moves in and out. It does. Try taking a picture. Nice. So this is a relatively easy fix, if it takes. The only thing I would say to kind of be wary of if you're trying to attempt a fix like one of these is if you don't quite clean off the contact points good enough, oftentimes, especially with Canon, it'll show low battery. Even when you have new batteries in and everything looks fine, that's probably what's going on, is there's an issue with that contact point on one or multiple batteries. So this camera's back into working condition, and that's cool because this camera in used working condition is going to sell for about $75. So my job is to try to keep as much out of the trash bin as possible. So that's why I'm going through and doing all of this. So now we're 3 for 5, and we've got 5 left out of this batch. Nikon Coolpix B500, very similar to the Nikon L840 that we were just looking at, that purple one. Came out a little bit more recently. This one doesn't appear to be too bad. That looks definitely manageable. It should be manageable. I should maybe preface by saying that. Doesn't look too bad. The internal posts look good. pop that on there. Lens looks good. Still no power, huh? What's going on here? No power. Give that a shot. Oh, power's on. Wow. I was about to write that off too. Sometimes you just gotta keep going after it. Okay, let's see if the lens is working. Moving in and out smoothly. Get a picture taken? Oh, what are we doing here? No? Okay, yeah. That's awesome. So we've got this back into working condition as well. And this camera in working condition is going to have a value of about $80 to $100, so that's great. No, we're 4 for 6. Pretty. I was wondering what my percentage was going to be in getting a camera into working condition. We've got a Nikon Coolpix L820 as our next camera here. Another bridge camera. And this one's got some pretty old corrosion on it. Fortunately, it's in mainly in this area here. And the internals look okay. One of the posts is kind of bent. You can just see it visually. Gotta be careful with these if you're kind of bending them back into their proper position, because sometimes they're very brittle, especially if they've been exposed to battery corrosion, and they could just snap off, rendering your camera basically worthless. So definitely be careful if you're doing this. Gonna get a little of our vinegar. Put in that little spot there. Oh, it's kind of worn down, to more in the metal down a little bit there. I don't know about this. Hopefully there's enough of a contact point there that we can get this working. Thanks for your patience, for all you longtime viewers out there. Kind of been out of pocket for the last 6 months in terms of videos, done some travel. Spent a lot of time with the family, and just kind of making sure the business is in good working shape as we head into the holiday season, which is normally the busiest time of the year for me. November, December, January is always very busy. And a lot of these cameras are going to be put on my eBay page, which I'll have linked down below. A lot of the more popular brands like Nikon, Canon, and Sony normally go pretty quickly from when I list them, because I list them pretty aggressively priced. And this camera I just turned on and it is working. Lens moves in and out. Let's take a quick picture and make sure everything else is looking good. Yeah, cool. So this camera is a previous iteration of like the Nikon Coolpix LA40 and B500. Just not quite as good at optical zoom. The value on this guy is going to be probably in the $40 to $60 range. So that is working as well. So now we're 5 for 7. Another one, actually same camera, same color. Nikon Coolpix L820, also in red. Condition-wise, not quite as good. And we've got a fair amount of corrosion here. And also internally, we have quite a bit of corrosion in this one right here, which is going to be kind of hard to see, but internally it's got quite a bit of corrosion. So let's take a look here. Having overhead light, which I do have here, fortunately, it's very helpful, because otherwise it's very hard to see inside of these and kind of see what you're doing. That was the main post that had problems. Let's spray it a little bit in there. Alright, let's put some AA's in. And I've been doing this long enough that normally I can tell if there's other battery connection issues by how the AA batteries line up. If there's one that's pushed down way too much, it means that there's probably an issue with the battery connection point on the bottom. So you can kind of address it there. These look pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and close it. Cross my fingers and try to turn it on. I felt something. There we go, yeah, I felt the lens engage. There we go. So the other most common issue with the older Nikon Coolpix cameras that are bridge are the lens housing tends to get bent. So if you have a Nikon Coolpix with a bent lens housing, I have another video that kind of shows how to do that. You can actually get vice grips. Again, not for the squeamish. If the camera is truly inoperable and your only way to repair it is to kind of bend it back into shape, you can actually bend the housing back into more of a circular fashion to allow the lens to move out of the lens housing area. This one appears to be working fine. Yep, nice. So this guy's in working condition as well. I'm on a hot streak here. And we are moving on. Moving on. We've got 4, 6, 8, 1. I've got a Nikon Coolpix L810 in black. Oh, okay. I don't know why I put that in there. So let's take a look at this. It actually is, the housing itself is loose. And the lens control engagement is loose from the body. I don't know if that's glued there. I think it might be glued. I think the glue may have come undone. Let's see what the battery... Yeah, there's corrosion in there too. This is going to be more of a project camera, and if I have time I'll try to get to it. I don't think... There's no screws that are missing. I think it actually may be glued, and it's just come loose. Not entirely sure, but this camera is not operable, so we'll try to see what we can do there. So we have 3. We got to get one more. All right, one more from that giant pile of broken cameras. And different brand. We've got a Fujifilm Finepix S9950W, which is a really big 50x optical zoom camera. Originally released probably, what, maybe 10, 12 years ago. This is going to compete with the Nikon B500, the Canon SX530, cameras like that, at a moderate price point. Okay, let's take a look at the battery tray. So there's classic corrosion pattern there. And let's see what we can do here. The internal looks good. Came off pretty easy. That's always a good sign. The less that you actually have to do, generally the better. Keeps it in as natural state as possible. This looks pretty decent actually. Just do a light cleaning here. Looks good. Ooh, yeah. Nice. We got the menu there. Everything appears to be working properly. Delete some pictures so I'm able to take a new one because it was completely full. Of course, I'm going to do, before I actually list these on eBay, I'm going to do additional testing just to make sure everything is functioning. A lot of the times I include a memory card in there as well, so it's ready to shoot. But this camera appears to be good to go. Has a little bit of wear, but value on this is going to be in the $50 to $75 range. So we have, out of those 10, we've got 7 working. Is that right? Yeah, 3, 4, 5. 6, yeah, 7 working and 3 that are broken. So that's a 70% success rate out of my little broken camera supply. I still have probably 50 to 70, just did 10. If you found this video helpful and entertaining in any way or interesting, please leave a comment down below. I'll try to get some more videos out coming up shortly in the next few days. Thanks for watching.